Hello, hello, Zion. It's Prince Easy, and we're gonna see what's up, right? Update each other upon this and that. So it seems that now they are launching personal attacks against Museveni, comparing him to Biden. Like trying to literally draw the parallels between the two. This is just Western hypocrisy. That's all I can say. Western hypocrisy, right? They're trying to dismantle our efforts by making this about personalities. This is not about personalities. This is about results, right? We see the economic boom with our eyes. And yes, we do agree that there is more to be done. And he understands that he's not going to be in power forever. Like, what are these people talking about? The real question should be, why now? Why now? So, yeah, this is unfortunate. If my memory serves me right, I think they were talking about this way back. It was a country in the south. It says it wanted to export some of them over to Europe. There was a whole debacle. Well, here we are. What happened? It's because we didn't come together. Now here we are asking, and people are still lagging to make decisions, simple decisions even. Well, shall do a deep dive on the whole autism situation. Right? I think it deserves its own separate video because of the misconceptions and misdiagnosis that is almost tradition to occur these days. Right? So we're gonna have a conversation about it down the line someday, right? Along with that video, I was gonna be mainly talking about the African woman, right? So they do this like every year. You can literally go to the search history. They do this every year. And this is only possible if all religions are false. They can't be all true. There's so much discrepancies, right? But this is just a power play. Why don't they say, okay, we should, right, coexist, and we shouldn't, religion shouldn't be like a platform for war, right? So this is just a power move by the Romans. The Romans to consolidate power, to basically have control over the narrative, right? Having NASA call them about baptism of aliens and stuff like that, right? The whole ordeal. Now, it's a sinister cover-up, apparently. So, Mozambique, welcome to the zoo. Yeah, Mozambique, welcome to the zoo. Get with the program. Don't wait for nobody. We are serious. right? Museveni is committed. That's why this happened at the pace it happened. It left you shocked. So this is the time, right? The division existed there for various reasons, right? Literally bordering countries, one speaks Bantu and the other one speaks Spanish. That's what they did to us, right? And these Spanish-speaking people are stuck between. There need to be a language program, right? To be a language program. At least everybody should know English. Bare minimum. Bare minimum, I think it's a easier language to transition to from all of these foreign languages like French and so, right? And if you have adapted to English, then later on down the line, maybe you can pick a Bantu language that can be spoken, right? But yeah, right now it's just pure political will. That's what is required and what is needed for the sake of the peoples of Africa, right? So welcome to the zoo. So ECOWAS came out of the woods. I don't know if it's true. AU also came out of the woods condemning the attacks on. Well, let's not talk about integration at all, because, and there's been a lot of talk about that, I don't know, these EAS countries being, I don't know, accepted back to the whole situation. Well, what I think is this SADC alliance, this ECOWAS alliance, and this AU alliance, I think some of them need to die in order it's called streamlining, right? You need to streamlining. Right now the resources are stretched upon the same companies doing the same job, right? So all of these three parties as of now, if you wanna help, then deal with refugees and general instability, meaning all of these militants terrorizing people, right? So ECOWAS needs to have an army of itself. SADC has one and it's working, and so should ECOWAS. There's no talk anymore, it's just action. No talk, action. If you're not with the program, then stay silent. You'll watch us do this without you. So ECOWAS, SADC need to come together. Only AU need to remain, right? And it needs to be redesigned structurally, because it has been suffering from external pushes and influences, right? They are literally, indirectly, like what MONUSCO was unfortunately used for, right? There are these rules of engagement and this and that, basically just bringing politics to warfare, which always ends up somebody dying, because that's their reality, choices and all, right? So there is a refugee crisis in Uganda, right? A refugee crisis in Sudan, instability in all of those Sahel nations, and you have been silent, while you could be the literal coordinator. That's what you are created for. The literal coordinator, okay, you have connections direct to presidents. Okay, we need, let's say, 100,000 soldiers from each country to form a single big unit, and these units have operational permissions, right? I'm hearing these new agreements that are coming in, right, where a country and a country agree that if an enemy escapes to that country, they are allowed to pursue them, like, I don't know, a couple kilometers into their country. It's allowed. This is the type of things I need to be hearing over there, right? Because if you do not integrate at a time of crisis, don't think that you'll ever integrate any other time, right? And right now it's crucial, pivotal, right? As the world's dynamic is changing, right? So use what you have to be actually helpful under those parameters. There are no peace talks anymore. Right? There is no rationalizing with these people because they are being used by really rich and powerful people to bring trouble to the continent, and that cannot be allowed to continue under any circumstance. So any form of armed group running around, running amok, should be dealt with. That's priority number one. And then number two, refugees, and they should be going in tandem, right? Pulling refugees away from the war zone, taking care of them. Refugees in Congo, SADC, I'm not hearing anything really in terms of coordinating where to get food. Tanzania has a lot of food. Uganda has a lot of food. And we have Zimbabwe starving like brothers. Is that okay? And am I not supposed to be upset about the situation and how political leaders are actually stagnating and killing their own people by making decisions that do not really So I need to see action. That's all I need. For the sake of the people of this continent, right? And of course, they have to come out of the woodwork to talk about this agreement that somehow supersedes the ability of nations to do whatever they can do to save their people, but rather surrender their will to a global power, right? Because, as you know, diseases can be carried by wind from one place to another. So you can't have different protocols running, right? They're creating something out of chaos, right? And that has spectacularly failed, right? All of these mandates are literally violating people's rights. So, these three people here always go viral when they make videos, right? People tend to resonate, right? But it's like that whole situation where you go to a funeral You find everybody crying, and you're not giving any type of, I don't know, positive reinforcement in difficult times, per se. I think we done had this conversation. So, Dr. Umar has a lot of influence in the American diaspora, right? Lumumba is basically the whole of Africa. And then Joshua Maponga, he's more of a SADC, Southern Africa oriented type situation. Be useful, right? I've seen lots of speeches, right? Get invited somewhere to give a speech. By the end of that speech, people are depressed. They keep talking about, we don't want this nigga Romo to come over here, right? So you can't point out the problems. You can't point out the discrepancies, but if you do not offer a way out, then the whole situation was just futile, and that's what I think you could be helpful, right? And have an organized system, like especially Dr. Lumumba. You should have like a YouTube channel. Get some boys, right? You can make an announcement and people will organize, right? Have a specific place where people can come and share ideas and use your connections to connect the people, right? Because that's the hurdle towards African Union, right? These politicians are afraid of the pushback from the people, their electorate, right? Quote unquote. So if the people are awakened and enlightened and basically have an understanding that this is the way, then it will be much easier at a political level, because it has the backing of the people. There's no resistance, there's no back and forth in discussion that could lead to nations having problems within themselves, right? And the whole economics, dynamics, and all of this. This is just right, the same reasons they use to to basically justify not putting countries together is exactly the reason why we should be together. Right? So it's just the issue of understanding and perspectives, and we need to have a focused effort. We need to have a focused effort. Yeah, I've seen Dr. Umar's video and Joshua, yeah, like they are more spiritual oriented, right? Spiritual oriented, but Lumumba is more of a technical, right? And I think among the three, he has the most to offer, right? He has the most to offer. So we need to hear about the solutions, right? We already know the problems, that the leaders are inadequate. Yes, the leaders are acting against the interests of their people. We know about this. We've been knowing about this. It's been like this for a long time, right? So how do we move on? How do we enable these people to do their job properly? If that's their willing, right? If they are willing, right? And the people, they are willing. The people are willing, right? I need to see from them. This is all about real people. So that's all of these countries, Guinea, Ghana, Congo, Burundi, and whatnot. They have shown that they are willing. Now we have to establish supporting structures, and that includes social activism per se. And that's what you three are. Right? So what I would like from Dr. Uma is the emphasis on the whole Israelite identity of the black people, right? Because that seems to be the issue, like I've pointed out here, right? Many times. I've shown you what the Zionists are doing in Southern Africa, the Sahel, right? I've shown you what they're doing. And now there's even evidence of them now becoming more active now in the Congo and whatnot. So there are, like I shall show you here, there are people who were deceived, right? It's just like the olden days, right? They come between two rivaling groups, they support one. The one being supported without being known, without knowing, has already been subdued. So it's what they are doing. So they are going and focusing on places with conflict, and they gather a certain group and they give them this quote-unquote force awakening that, me and you, we are brothers. Right? This is what these Zionists are telling this. We are brothers. We share our faith. We share your pain. Look at this, they show them the books, like we are the same. Our struggle is the same. This is what they are selling to these people. Right? Our struggle is the same. We are the chosen people, but soon we will be saved. Right? That's what they're talking about, right? And they have all of these plans to establish their own Jewish state, right? Where they don't have to share nothing with nobody, right? And of course, they don't tell them that Negroes ain't going to heaven. Right? You should lead their stuff. So, teenagers are now completely screwed, I guess. Right? It began with the whole trying to take mobile phones away from kids, right? That wasn't working. Now they are creating just a freaking pedophile farm like TikTok, where they can just go shopping, right? Everything is just sorted out. But they're saying it's for the safety of teenagers. This is the terrorism we're talking about. Half devil, half child. The type of talk they are putting forward to justify our oppression. And that continues even today, right? They paint us in a certain light. Angry, loud, savages, rapey, unintelligent, unable to lead. Right? So they created this as a form of psychological warfare. Right? So the black man and the white man fall for their lies. We're both deceived. right? And one group now thinks that they are superior and they can somehow impose their will because they are more educated and civilized. They have a responsibility to spread their way of life, to improve the human state, per se, right? So this is what's happening in Nigeria. Right? I'm not against this religion or whatever it is, because they don't know what it is either. But it's a lie. This is ours. And now they're coming back with it and weaponizing it and attaching themselves. Just like the scriptures say, to save themselves because they know judgment is coming. What's the best way to survive than to attach yourself to God's people? That's the safest place you can be, right? Remember the whole angel of death and the blood on the door and such, right? Even the Gentiles applied the same technique. They put blood on their doors and they were spared. Not by their own, but rather by the grace of God. Because they were nice to Israelites. So they were helped. But these people are dishonest. Right? You can't pick the Igbo or the Yoruba or whatever tribe or the Zulu or whatever and just go there and tell you are Israel. And what? The whole of Africa shares about the same ancestors. So what makes a specific group special? It is just a strategy, right? Just like what they did in Germany, they destabilize the place economically, right? They channel money to these groups and these groups become dependent on this state than their own states, their own people. They have basically created a division, the worst kind, which does not exist because it's built upon a lie. And whatever place they are doing this, there's trouble. Whatever they are, those people, they are trouble. Look at their history or what happened to them in Russia. They are trouble. People keep talking about it, but people do not listen because they have the loudest speakers, right? The loudest speakers, the West media protecting them. Look at this nonsense. How can you temporarily and sort of have a second moon? You either have it or you don't. This is not freaking Fermi paradox we are talking about here. It's a literal thing in a literal place, right? So is there going to be a second moon or is there not going to be a second moon? What do you mean, sort of? How? How did that stuff get into your brain? Tissue, not just your brain. Your brain, tissue. Disregarding all the membranes protecting the brain and all of that. But it got in there. So plastic is dangerous. Africans don't use it, like at all. Like the alternative is better. This is just another warfare against plastic. It's just another warfare, and people have to wake up to that idea. What they're actually recommending as a replacement for this supposed plastic is actually worse for the environment. Okay? Like I've said, I made a video a couple months back, and I asked just to sit in your house and just imagine every piece of plastic is gone from your house. What would be left? And what would you replace that with? And how would that affect your life in general? Right? Even here where I'm sitting, I'm surrounded by a lot of plastic. A lot. So it's the issue of how do we recycle this plastic, right? While we have companies here producing or having no arrangement to recycle. So this is just a planning issue, right? Plastic is a business. So why are they trying to convince us that we have plastic in our brains, plastic in our testicles, just everywhere? That we reach a DNA at one point these days. My guy should have just kept quiet. Right? The Passion of Christ too. What are they going to talk about? Of course, they have that typical image. They're trying to reinforce that this is how Christ looked like. They have to. Right? And who is paying for this, do you think? Zionists. Guarantee you. Just like the first one. Well, this case and the Diddy case, people need to be really careful, right? They are letting their emotions get the better of them. And that's the trick. People should look at things objectively and subjectively, using their emotions and intelligence to come to a judgment. And it seems that the system is pushing people to the extreme with these two cases, right? They're making this child and Diddy look literally like the devil, right? The literal walking, talking devil. Let me tell you this. He might be evil, but he is not the devil. It's much worse. They're just disarming you by just giving you these tiny ass small fish like Diddy. So not taking away from what they did, but I am a firm believer of punishment matching the crime, right? So this is the monopoly. This is the desperation, right? So everything evil they gotta try, put it on a black kid, right? Everything dangerous they have to experiment it on a black guy, because if it works on a black guy, then the possibility of working on a white person are actually higher. So here they are. Last time it was the robot hat. This time it's approved, right? This approved gene therapy. How do you deliver this information to the genes? Viruses, they are the best. But we all know that they are It's not a genetic problem. It's just a specific area that produces cells that has a problem. But as long as they keep hammering it into your head that it is genetic, then they can convince you to kill yourself painfully, because this is going to cause a transmutation, right? It's going to cause a transmutation because DNA is like a house of cards, right? When you move one piece, everything else moves also. So might as well have just killed the boy or what. The war is real. They are saying they want to bring skilled labor. And the only one fighting is Malema, and you expect to win. You're not sitting good right now because they have completely isolated South Africa, right? That's the whole Uber situation. That's the whole Miss Chidima situation. That was just to separate South Africans from the entirety of Africa. And they did a great job. And South Africans did a good job of sabotaging themselves. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to deal with the reality that black people are not the problem in that country. They are not. They are just as poor as you are, right? And not privileged at all. But you should be asking yourself, who sold you that illusion? I see they're trying to fight for Zimbabwe, right? Giving them the spotlight, giving them world attention. These promises of these niggas wanna kill 200 elephants to eat. You're talking about blueberries. This is the issue of planning and priorities and stuff. So, from 63, from 1963, you see that region? Niggas. Yeah. So all the pink is 1 to 1.1 to 2, basically. There's no 1.9 children. Stop that. I'll just say one child. There's no 1.5 child, or children rather. So we are in the 4 and higher. So we are literally in the crosshairs of people like Bill Gates and WF. If they are trying to lower the human population to a controllable, as per the Georgia Guidestones, which are blown up. They got it from South Africa, apparently. So I can't imagine how much worse it is in South Africa. But Zimbabwe seems to be under assault because it's ranking one of the countries that have the biggest problem of cancer in the world. It's ranking number 3, the last time I saw, if I'm not mistaken. Number 3 in the world, Zimbabwe, who recently just came out of sanctions. How? There was something sick going on over there. Then people paid the price. Now it's your option. Do you want to continue paying the price, or do you want to join the efforts? Right? Make schemes You be given seeds, produce. There's food you can buy. Why are your people starving in Africa? It's amazing and shocking to me. But that's in the past. That is in the past. And we are moving quick. So what do you want to do about it? Look at these headlines. So you're speculating that you saw a secret spacecraft. So it's neither a lie nor a truth because there is no proof. So why do you even report it on the first place? They're changing their stance slowly and systematically, meticulously, moving with a plan and determination. Now they're saying that this renewable way is not feasible, it's not practical, especially for growth, exponential growth. Right? If we look at the terms of investment and all of that, it's pointless. So they say. He wants to change everything. Like what? Is he going to stop funding the Zionists to kill Arabs? I don't think so. They like him over there. He's their man. He's a Zionist himself. So it is, right? One side they say there's plastic in your brain. Now this. But they just want to make you broke so as you can be dependent upon them, so as they can become your God. That's what they want. So you have no business being listening to their opinion whatsoever. I'm waiting for the drama of the whole Security Council. Who are they going to offer to? Because there are two powers in there, right? The East and the West, right? You are still under colonial rule, and here you are trying to say that Tanzania is your biggest problem, or you can't be mentioned. I'll show you who said such a thing. You can't be mentioned in the same sentence as Tanzania. This is the pride that they see themselves. And there's a residue of the Zionist ideology even there, right? Just a bunch of tools. They're mad. Just the truth. As if DNA don't exist. Why? Fear attack? Or Negroes? So here he is, this idiot, right? This revolutionary, this person that the Kenyans are putting their faith on to fight them. This is the guy questioning the government on issues, not fearful at all. And recently, I think in this video, if I'm not mistaken, he just gave out this, he just substantiated the claims of Boy and stuff like that, right? Like the government is doing this killing. Like the government has signed off on this killing, trying to shift blame. There is no one to blame, Kenya. There is no one to blame. Not Ruto or anything. Let me tell you something funny. Maybe the scripture back up this, right? A leader of a country says a lot about the people, regardless of how they go into power. Regardless. They represent the spirit of a country. That's why God can judge the whole country using leaders. It will be the outward view of what God has given to a nation, either as punishment or as blessing. Either as punishment or as blessing. That's just the reality. Now, you need to ask yourself, were you given your leaders for punishment or for blessing? Tanzania is not your problem. We are fine over here. We are building, we are expanding. You are the ones that are still sleeping. You are the ones who are still sleeping. Your north is being invaded every day. You just don't want to talk about it. Right? You want to talk about the death of the masses. You think we want to be mentioned in the same line as you are. Take some responsibilities. You'll be the last, like I say. You will join. You have no other option. You will join. Believe me, you. But you'll be the last, because I've seen the pride of these nations from a long, long, long time ago. So when I'm done with the South, the work will begin there. Come in strong. And let's see if you can withstand. This is nothing. This is just the drizzle before the storm. This is what that is. So, let me get this straight. So Europeans came into East Africa, North Africa, South Africa, Central Africa, every part of Africa. They basically assimilated people into their culture, right? They literally beat the culture out of the black man, right? Their languages out of the black man, their literal identities out of black man, right? They gave them their clothing, they gave them their way of their cuisine, right? How they consume the food, right? How they dress out, their mannerisms in general. But still, when the black man stood amongst the white man, he didn't feel like he belonged. Because one thing was left. One thing that they could not assimilate. Until now. So it's a big problem. Right? Even the Congolese are even very popular here in Tanzania. They're very popular because they speak French. They are literally disassociated from being African, right? And they have these special relationships with these countries. And now they want to breach their screen to complete the assimilation. It was just inevitable. I don't think right? We share everything on the dressing table except sunblock. That's where we are, right? Black women straighten their hair to look like white women. They put on their makeup by by the principles of the white woman and how they set up, right? Literally being assimilated even now. They put themselves in a pedestal to seem superior. So everybody else has to align themselves to their standards, per se. So this was inevitable. We shouldn't be shocked. Look at how far we came. You remember this question I asked, right, last time? Look at how far we came. Before we start fighting, trying to go back, let's observe first how far we have gone from what we were. Can we first even try to assess that before we even begin this? Because this is just an eventuality, and as long as we don't go to the conversation, it will seem like a random situation, right? We consume their media, we relate more to them than to our brothers. And why is that? Right? We are literally in the same geological position. Why are we so disconnected? Right? It's baffling to me, right? Because all of my life I've been making friends, not burning bridges. So besides petty reasons, there's no reason why Africa cannot come together to handle its problems, because we have many, right? And the solving of these problems is dependent upon that. Us coming together, putting all our heads together. Because there is an enemy, right? There is an enemy. We have seen their handiwork. Who would sit on those seats? If it would be South Africa, then it's basically bad for the West. I don't think they thought this through. Right? They can choose South Africa because that will give power to the BRICS bloc. They can choose Egypt because they are the enemy of Israel. That will also make them lean more to the east. So it's just a situation that was recreated, right? And Al Jazeera seems to be very very upset after their studios were raided. It's not an insult to Africans. You are insulted. We are not insulted. We know that this is a game, right? And you're only insulted if you don't know that this is a game. That's how they can insult you. But if you know from the get-go that this is a political game, then you just watch it play out and try to find out where they're trying to land with this whole deal. So, pertaining to the spread of Christianity and Islam, it's all in our history, right? I personally, prior to watching this video, I didn't know this Colosseum existed. But I knew of the Roman Empire reaching far south. I knew about that. I know about the city of Rapta in East Africa, right? And there is next to no information pertaining to the Romans in the north. Why? Right? These people who intend to rewrite history, why would they cover the south? Because they're in the north. They are interested in the north. And from the north, they will control the South, the global South, they say, right, which is mostly poor. So let me not go on and on and on and on. Let me just put a stop to it there. But these are just the things that I just wanted to put forth, right? So yeah, love you, Prince Easy, General Easy, signing out. Bye.